Hello there, welcome back to another Battlefront 2 Blaster Guide. Today we are going to be diving into the TL-50 Heavy Repeater for the Heavy class. Before we get into this video, I'd like to let you guys know about my brand new streaming schedule. I'll be streaming every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 8 PM to 10 PM Eastern Time Zone. I'll have a little conversion chart on screen right now. It's a great way for me to interact with the viewers, you guys. Now let's get back to the TL-50. In today's TL-50 Blaster Guide, I'll be going over its different weapon attachments and how they affect the blaster, all the statistics we know about it, and tactics and tips to help you to become the best with this blaster. In the description, I'll have timestamps so you can easily find your way through this video. But I'd suggest staying for the whole video because you might learn something new. But remember, anything I say in this video can be changed at any time. The TL-50 returns in Battlefront 2 after being slightly modified from the first game. In the first Battlefront, the TL-50 was most notable due to its secondary fire capability. In Battlefront 2, the developers decided to change the fact that the TL-50's secondary fire was standardized, so they removed it and made it into a modification instead. A modification that you'd have to work for quite a bit. We'll talk about the secondary fire capabilities and modifiers later in this video. I'm quite glad that the developers made this into an option, because it doesn't hurt to have options. For the most part, I don't even use the secondary fire mod. I just use the improved cooling mod and the reduced recoil mod instead. If it was a mandatory thing where you absolutely had to have the secondary fire active, I don't know if I'd use the blaster as much as I do right now. When comparing the TL-50 to other heavy blasters in Battlefront 2, one big thing that stands out with the TL-50 is that the TL-50's cooldown rate is a lot faster than the other heavy blasters. What I mean by that is when you almost overheat your blaster, so you press the instant cooldown button, X on Xbox. For other heavy blasters, the speed of the cooldown is really long, but for the TL-50, it is a different story. Instead, it has a much shorter cooldown, as of a blaster rifle or pistol. This completely changes how you can play with the TL-50 compared to other heavy blasters. With other heavy blasters, you're going to have to wait a bit after you've started cooling down. But the TL-50 gets you right back into the action with its quicker cooldown process. Out of all the heavy blasters available for use, the TL-50 is the worst for longer range engagements, but it makes up for its damage output at CQC gunfights. CQC stands for Close Quarter Combat. Now, let's go in depth with all the different modifications that you can unlock for the TL-50. The first modification that you can unlock for the TL-50 is the improved cooling mod. To unlock it, you have to defeat 25 enemies with the TL-50. If you have the improved cooling mod activated, it raises the amount of shots needed to overheat your blaster. One thing that you'll notice when you first get the TL-50 is that it overheats way too fast. The improved cooling mod is a type of mod that I like to call an essential modification. A mod that is essential. For the blaster that you're using, in this case, the improved cooling mod is essential. The TL-50's base model has a very fast overheat rate, but once you activate this mod, it changes the game for the blaster. This mod is a mod that most people never take off because it's so good. It also makes the base version of the TL-50 feel horrible when you're comparing it. The second modification that you can unlock for the TL-50 is a reduced spread mod. To unlock it, you have to defeat 75 enemies with the TL-50. The reduced spread modification is also another essential modification, and here's why. First, for those who don't know what spread is, it is referring to the blaster bolts you shoot. If a blaster has a lot of spread, it simply means that the shots you shoot at a certain distance, it's going to go everywhere around the target, despite the fact that you're aiming at them. What the reduced spread does is it gives the TL-50 a capability to some degree to defeat enemies from some distance. At first you're going to notice that the TL-50 can't hit the side of a barn because it's so inaccurate. But once you add this modification on, you'll have an immediate improvement with this blaster. This mod is that good. That's why I call it another essential mod. The third mod you can unlock for the TL-50 is the secondary fire modification, which is what this blaster is most noted for. To unlock this mod, you have to defeat 150 enemies with the TL-50. To use the secondary fire ability, you have to hold down the left trigger on your controller. Then you'll notice that your screen is zooming in, and you'll shoot a secondary fire shot. This modification has some upsides and some downsides. The upsides is the fact that you can use it whenever you want. It only takes a few seconds to recharge. And it almost acts like a grenade. It's almost spammable too. The downside is that you cannot zoom in with the TL-50 if you have the secondary fire active. Although most people don't use the zoom on most blasters to see the enemy in the distance, because we all know you really use the zoom for the aim assist. That's really it. Now if you're okay with giving up your aim assist, then the secondary fire won't be that bad. From my experience, the TL-50's secondary fire does about 80 to 100 damage if you hit the enemy on impact. And that's where the second downside is. It doesn't do a lot of damage. Now that we made it through all the modifications that you can unlock for the TL-50, we can get into the tactics and strategies for this blaster. The first thing we have to get down is which attachments are best for you though. If you just skipped to this part of the video, I definitely suggest going back to the beginning of the modification part of this video. Anyways, we have 3 attachments. One being an alternate mode of fire, and the other 2 being modifications that modify the firing characteristics. First, let me tell you what are my personal favorites. To be honest, I really only use the improved cooling mod and the reduced spread mod. I almost never use the secondary fire mod. I like having the all-around good heavy blaster for CQC. I don't really need the secondary fire. I'd rather much have a more reliable blaster overall, at least when it comes to cooling power and spread. If you're sure that you want the secondary fire on your blaster, you're going to have to choose between the cooling cell mod and the reduced spread mod. Now it all depends on what you want to do from here. Either it would be less shots being fired before you overheat, or an inaccurate blaster at the distance. That of course is your decision. But if I was in that situation, personally I'd go with the better cooling, considering that you're going to need it because of the secondary fire taking so much of it. Now that you have knowledge upon all the different modifications and what they do, to what mods work best for you, now how you can apply this your blaster for which situations are the best. Let's dive right in. As I've already stated, out of all the heavy blasters, the TL-50 is the best for close quarter combat. If you know where you're going is going to be CQC environment, then choose the TL-50. You'll notice me in streams and in the gameplay videos, whenever I run the heavy class, I'm always switching blasters. The DC-15LE for longer range engagements, and the FWMB-10K for medium and all-around gunfights. And the TL-50 for CQC. By the way, I have guides for all those blasters. Feel free to check those out by pressing the info tab in the top right corner of the screen right now. Back to the blaster selections though. Don't try to use the TL-50 at a distance. If you end up having to fight enemies at a distance, this is where you're going to have to choose your battles. And maybe just lay off the guy, because it's better that you wait until you know you're close enough to defeat the enemy. At close quarters, the TL-50 is one of the most reliable blasters to have. This thing won't let you down as long as you can hit the enemy. Stay mobile and hit your shots, and you'll dominate the enemies with the TL-50. Because you're in close quarters, there are different things that you have to consider. Instead of it being, oh, I have to crouch to get more accuracy on my blaster and such, you instead have to think of things on the spot. How are you going to not take damage? Because I already know you don't have to worry about your blaster doing its job. You can use the shield to avoid taking damage, you can use the combat roll, you could jump, you could use an impact grenade as a distraction. All of these could work. I personally love the combat roll, if you haven't already noticed from the gameplay. The TL-50, if played right in the right situations, can be your new trusty blaster. But take it out of its comfort zone and you might have a problem. Overall, the TL-50 is an amazing heavy blaster that I'm extremely glad made a comeback from Battlefront 1. If you have any tips for the TL-50, feel free to drop them in the comments section to help each other out. Also in the comments, let me know what max level blaster you'd like to see me review next. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed or learned something new, feel free to drop a like. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe for more Battlefront 2 guys and live streams such as this one. Don't forget about my live streams. Remember, 3 times a week from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time Zone. I'm Infinite Potatoes, and I'll see you on the Battlefront.